Navigating love in our later years, the unspoken longings of a man's heart. Welcome to Graceful Aging, a place for thoughtful conversations about the heart's journey. I'm so glad you're here. We often hear that a man's needs in a relationship are straightforward, a bit of respect, a little affection. But if you've ever felt a man you love grow distant for reasons you can't quite grasp, you know there's something deeper at play. It's not about grand gestures or constant companionship. The core of what sustains a man's spirit in his 60s, 70s, and beyond is far more nuanced. If you're looking for simple tips, this isn't that kind of discussion. I believe in speaking from the heart about the quiet struggles men often face. Many women are loving and attentive, yet they still see the man they care for pull away, retreat into silence, or become emotionally absent. They see the change but don't understand the source. So, let's explore this together. Let's look at the 3 profound needs that anchor a man in a relationship, needs he often craves but rarely articulates. If this resonates with you, I invite you to stay. If these conversations feel meaningful, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Graceful Aging. It helps us connect with others who are on a similar path. Now, let's begin. This first need is perhaps the most foundational of all. The first need, a harbor of trust and acceptance. Have you ever sat with a man who is physically present but feels emotionally far away? That silence isn't a wall he's built against you, it's a shelter he's built for himself. Many men of this generation were taught that strength meant concealing vulnerability. Feelings were a private matter, and showing uncertainty or sadness was seen as a failure. They learned to manage internal storms with quiet endurance, logic, or by simply staying busy. The deepest anxiety for many men isn't about being alone. It's the fear that revealing their true, unedited self, with all its doubts and weariness, will diminish them in the eyes of the person they cherish. A man can handle almost anything except the thought that his honesty might cost him her esteem. I recall a gentleman named Robert, who, after a significant health scare, found himself overwhelmed one evening. In a moment of rare vulnerability, his voice broke. He quickly composed himself, but later confessed to a friend, "I worry that if she sees the cracks, she'll only see a broken man." Men don't retreat from a lack of trust in you. They retreat from a fear of being seen as less than the strong, capable partner they believe you deserve. What a man truly needs is a relational harbor, a space where he can set down the weight of his responsibilities without being analyzed or fixed. A place where he can be contemplative without it being seen as withdrawal. Where he can experience a low day without having to justify every nuance of his mood. This kind of trust isn't about avoiding difficult topics. It's about navigating them without the fear of judgment. When a man feels this safety, you can see a physical shift. The tension leaves his posture, his gaze softens, and he begins to share not out of obligation, but from a genuine sense of security. The persona he maintained for decades begins to relax, and the connection becomes more authentic and light. Without this harbor, he will return to the only safe place he knows, silence. It's not a weapon, it's a sanctuary. And once this foundation of trust is established, a second, equally vital need begins to surface. The second need, the grace of space. A common misinterpretation is that a man creates distance because his feelings have changed. This misunderstanding has created more heartache than many would admit. The reality is different. A man often regains his emotional footing through solitude. He mends his spirit through quiet reflection. This need doesn't diminish with age, it intensifies. When the pressures of life accumulate, a man doesn't always seek a lengthy conversation to feel better. He seeks a quiet corner, the garage, a walk in the park, or simply a chair by the window, to untangle his thoughts and restore his inner equilibrium. This isn't rejection, it's a form of emotional reset. It's his way of clearing the air within himself so he can return to the relationship fully present. However, this natural process is often misread as a problem that needs solving. Concerned questions, while well-intentioned, "What's wrong? Are you upset with me?" can feel like pressure when he is in this recalibrating state. He doesn't withdraw because of the questions themselves, but because he feels pursued when what he needs is room to breathe. The women who foster the deepest connections understand this rhythm. They offer the grace of space without interpreting it as a personal slight. They allow for quiet without filling it with anxiety. This is a profound gift that tells a man he is trusted to manage his own inner world. I knew a couple, Eleanor and David. When David felt the world closing in, he would spend an hour in his garden. Eleanor never followed him out with demands for an explanation. When asked about it, she simply said, "He always comes back to me with a lighter heart and an open hand." By allowing him the space to gather himself, he could then gather her in his arms more fully. When this need is denied, a man retreats further, not out of diminished love, but because he cannot find his center while being monitored. I wonder, have you ever experienced this dynamic? If you're comfortable, please share your reflections in the comments. Your insight could be a beacon for someone else. And now, for the need that completes this sacred triad. The third need, to be valued and cherished for who he is. What happens in a man's heart when he feels his judgment is consistently questioned or his contributions are taken for granted? It's not anger that rises, but a quiet sense of irrelevance. For a man in his later years, love is the warmth, but being valued is the anchor. He can hear, "I care for you," but if those words are followed by constant second-guessing or a lack of faith in his abilities, he begins to feel like a function, not a partner. That erodes his spirit more deeply than any disagreement. When a man feels genuinely respected, his entire demeanor changes. He stands more firmly, engages more openly, and loves more freely. It's not about ego, it's about the dignity that comes from being trusted. That trust is the nourishment his soul has always sought. Research in relational psychology consistently shows that a man's emotional withdrawal is frequently a response to feeling persistently criticized or controlled. He retreats to protect his sense of self. But when he feels trusted, the connection naturally flourishes because he no longer has to defend his position within it. Yet, respect is only one part of the equation. There is something even more profound, the desire to be cherished. He wants to be chosen not for his utility, not for the stability he provides or the tasks he completes, but for the essence of who he is. When he feels he is merely a fixture in a routine, the relationship loses its vitality. His actions may continue, but his heart disengages. However, when he feels genuinely cherished, everything transforms. His affection becomes more intentional, his presence more devoted. He becomes more present and engaged because he knows he is wanted for his soul, not just for his service. Men at this stage of life long to be loved for their character, not their resume. They want a true partner, not a role to fulfill. And when being valued and being cherished converge, a man offers a level of devotion that is uniquely profound in the later chapters of life. Feeling valued gives him stability. Feeling cherished gives him purpose. Together, they create a sanctuary of mutual respect and deep, abiding love. If any part of this conversation touched your heart, I would be so grateful if you liked this video and subscribe to Graceful Aging. Let's continue to build a community where we can explore these journeys together, with grace and understanding. Thank you for being here.